2015 at 7 p.m. Please rise for the invocation given by Councilman Phil Guisella. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear God, we begin by thanking you for all of the blessing and gifts you've bestowed upon us. We ask for your help as the gift of patience is truly tested this time of year. Help us to be more patient as we are driving and come across detours for road construction. Help us to be more patient with people whose personal challenges may or may not be visible, but their actions indicate they need just a little more time to complete their task. Help us to be patient as we frequent one of the businesses in our city of Eastpointe during their busy time, and it may take an extra minute or two to be waited on. And help us all to be patient as we consider the consequences of our actions here at the council table. It is in your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kleinfeld.
Here.
Councilmember LaForest.
Here.
Mayor Pixley.
Here.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Here.
Councilmember Gustell.
Here.
Move on to the first hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard at this time? Does anyone wish to be heard? Mr. Van Oost?
Mike Van Oost, resident. I want to first thank Mr. DeMonico for picking up my electronic recycles. There was no way in the world that I would have been able to pick them up myself and take them there, but I want to thank him 100% for doing it. I also want to thank Mr. LaForest and Ms. Varen Heron for getting that branch trimmed off Summerall between Roxanne and Temperate Street. My third thing I have here is who is in charge of trimming the branches over the sidewalk between Norton and Summerall. There are some major branches hanging over the sidewalk, not only a safety hazard, but they shouldn't have been that bad. And there's one that has been there for over 2 years that has not been taken care of. I do not know if the homeowner takes care of this or what, but it's on the corner of Roslyn and Summerall. I go by there quite a bit. That branch has been over that sidewalk for over 2 years. I don't know who takes care of this, but if you guys were to go down Norton and Summerall, you would see the branches hanging over the sidewalk. And I did turn in a list of all the ones that I seen on Summerall, but not Norton, and they're still not trimmed yet. So if somebody can look into that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else wish to be heard at this time? Does anyone else wish to be heard? Seeing none, the first hearing of the public is closed. We'll move on to approval of the minutes from 3 meetings. The first one is a special meeting of June 30th, 2015. Do we have a motion?
Madam
Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of June 30th, 2015.
Support.
Move to support. Any corrections? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Gustell.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Councilmember Kleinfeld.
Yes.
Councilmember LaForest. Yes. Mayor Pixley.
Yes. The second item is the regular meeting of July 7th, 2015. We have a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of July 7th, 2015.
We have support.
Support.
Any corrections? Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Councilmember LaForest.
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes.
Councilmember Gustell.
Yes.
Councilmember Kleinfeld.
I'll abstain.
And item C is the regular meeting of July 21st, 2015. Do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of July 21st, 2015.
Do we have support?
Support.
Any corrections? Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Councilmember Kleinfeld.
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes.
Councilmember Gustell.
Yes.
Councilmember LaForest.
Yes.
We have no scheduled hearings and no unfinished business for tonight. We'll start with our reports from administration, and we'll start with our city manager, Mr. Steve Duchesne.
I have no notes for council tonight. Madam Mayor, if any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you. Mr. Guasella?
Can you update us on some of the projects foreseen and unforeseen that are taking place in our city?
I think the most prominent one who we sent a notice on today is Kelly is moving on reconstruction. And unfortunately, the depth of a gas line for Consumers Energy was a bit of a surprise. It's much closer to the ground, so that's going to to the surface. So that's going to require a reburial of a line, and that's going to take a little time. Everybody is aware of it and working as promptly as they can, because we're on a fairly tight timetable how we wanted to. We have set up some bypass there and some temporary. We're aware, though, of school starting towards the end of the month, so that's clearly an issue. And I probably jinxed it by saying that anything in tight timetable around a school probably will go wrong. So, but there's no construction issue as much as there was a plans issue with Consumers Energy and working on that. Around the rest of the community, the southern parts of Kelly have been opened. Very good shape there. Most of the projects are on or ahead of schedule. Everybody can see in the downtown also a significant amount of curbing, and the new installation of ADA compliant ramps are going in. I don't think there's a section of town that we aren't doing something in. Water, sewer, road replacement and repair, well underway. It has been a good season, and it has also, I might note, a good season in cooperation with Consumers Energy versus last year. They have been doing, obviously, thousands of reconnections in their service lines, and that has worked well, and they've been, this year, coordinated. It's a sharp contrast to last year when they did not let us know or did not coordinate with the city. And that's my 40,000-foot level review.
And just to clarify for certain that it's the area on Kelly between roughly Stevens and 10 Mile, that's the one where that gas line in the school in question obviously is the middle school there.
That is correct.
Okay, just so people are aware of that. Okay. Thank you.
But the street is open from Stevens to Forest, right? It's just closed from 10 to Forest.
Correct.
All right, Mr. LaForest.
Mr. Duchesne, can you please give us an update on the Spindler Park sledding hill and the lights at Memorial Field?
The lights are well on their schedule. They were to be permanently installed. We've had some temporaries there. They were to be scheduled for installation starting this past week. I haven't got an update right now on those required posts to be set. As far as the Spindler sledding hill, the earth is there, ready to move. It won't move now until we are in a situation where they can be stabilized, finalized, and then seeded. And we won't be doing that during a time of very dry conditions, because that would, obviously, we'd lose the grass right away. So they're looking more towards the first part of September into September to take the next steps to finalize the surface and to start the seeding and bedding process.
So by that time, it'll be one big hill? Because I think right now it's like many.
Yeah, the one hill is really the topsoil composite material.
I understood we were going to
So-
have two hills. We were going to have
It's-
a larger hill and then like a bunny hill.
It's going to be there will be a smaller hill eventually as it transforms, also with a backside with a ledge on it, if you would, to stop people going off the backside steep slope. So there'll be other movement in the soils around there, and people will see a little different configuration.
Anything else? All right, let's move on to our finance director, Mr. Blum.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council. A couple items tonight. First of all, we have had a resident in the past couple days regarding a water shutoff. I don't know if anybody's going to hear from this individual. They have a child with an illness that requires water. However, they have $700 of water on taxes, and their current bill is up to $500. They are a renter. They have indicated it's not their water bill. However, their landlord hasn't paid it either. And our policy is that they have to pay whatever's delinquent on the taxes, plus get the account current before we'll turn it back on. The letter from the Detroit Medical Center was just indicating that water was kind of a necessity, but The lady was in here saying that that was proof there was a law that mandated us to turn it on, which is not true. But just so if you hear any scuttlebutt on that, this individual has been through finance and through the building Department of Public Works and has gotten the same answer from everybody, that until the water accounts are paid up, the water will not be turned on. We encouraged her to find a new landlord, but there's really not much else we could do at that point because the bill is so large. There's not a lot of flexibility in that one.
Have they submitted a copy of the lease?
No, and they have refused to even name who the landlord is. And we're trying to get contact information for the landlord to call them and say, hey, pay the bill. And this individual has refused to do that. So there's a lot of strange things about this particular case, but because of the actions here in the past 2 days, we thought it might end up one of those, hey, I'm calling Channel 2, which we never have a problem with, but you guys might hear something about it. So just a heads up.
If the water bill is just never paid ever, does it just keep rolling on the taxes?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And the water remains shut
Indefinitely.
off.
The water remains shut off, and yeah, eventually, if they don't pay the taxes, we'll get the house back in tax reversion. So,
Okay.
the other thing you're talking about, all the construction projects, the Topher water main was bid today. There was some concern with all the contractors being extremely busy that we wouldn't get a lot of interest in it. We actually had 9 contractors bid. Because it was designed to be a project that can be done over the winter when they're at their slow time, the low bid actually came in at less than we had projected, which surprised everybody, both in the volume of bids and in the pricing. So that one will be rolling in. The retiree health care that's on the payroll and bills tonight, there's been a couple questions from a couple different people. That is normal. I guess we try to pay that at the beginning of the fiscal year to get it in, so the quicker we pay it, the quicker it gets invested and the more earnings it gets. It just happens to follow up the previous one in July where we paid the pension, which was at the end of the fiscal year, and so we had 2 big payments kind of back to back. The payment tonight is just retiree health care. The active health care goes out on a monthly basis. You'll see that. And then the pension going forward, when we start paying MERS, you'll actually see it as part of the payroll portion of payroll and bills instead of in the accounts payable section. So just so you're aware of that, you will not see another pension contribution called out separately. It'll be buried in the amounts at the bottom of the payroll. So, and that's all I have.
Anyone have questions? All right, let's move on to our city attorney, Mr. Albright.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. Council is in receipt of our firm's monthly status report for the month of August. There are a couple of items that I wanted to highlight. Yesterday, I did participate in 11 dangerous building hearings here at City Hall. Of the 11, I believe 5 actually had representatives appear. The rest were default situations. The city's hearing officer, Bill McGrail, also let his son participate in the ones that were default to give him an opportunity to familiarize himself with the process. He actually watched the previous dangerous building hearings to familiarize himself with those, and then he participated in the ones where a property owner was not present. The other item I wanted to highlight was item 2A, which is regarding the Colonial Dodge matter. The appellant in that case did not file an appeal with the Michigan Supreme Court, and so the city can now schedule a closing for that property.
Fantastic.
And I'm happy to answer any questions that the council members may have this evening.
Any questions?
I had one, the 3 properties that we gave 30 days and then 30 more, essentially. It was the 22519 Saxony, 14922 Topher, and 22230 Kelly. If you don't know right now, if we can get a status on those, because we had motioned to demolish those if they were not
Yes.
taken care of.
Councilman Monica, what was the Topher address?
It's, I think I have 14922.
And then the Kelly address is 22230?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, and then Saxony is 22119?
22519.
519. Yes, I will follow up with Ms. Van Haren and get the council an update regarding those three properties.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Albright?
Yes, I have one, Madam Mayor.
Please.
Mr. Albright, pertaining to the Colonial Dodge site, are there any plans, and you may or may not be able to answer this, are there any plans to recoup any loss that we might have incurred because the litigation for that property and or attorney's fees?
Yes, we did file a bill of cost regarding, in the Court of Appeals, you're limited to your actual cost regarding the appeal. That does not include attorney fees. So we filed a bill of cost for both copying costs that we incurred and also the bond that was never paid. We submitted that, and the appellant was required to object to that within 7 days, otherwise those costs would be deemed permitted. They did not file an objection to those costs, so that component of the cost have been essentially agreed upon. Because we believe that the appeal was frivolous, we also filed a motion for cost and damages for filing a vexatious proceeding, is actually the term that they use in the court rules. And the appellant's attorney did file a response to that motion, and we're just here waiting to get a decision from the Court of Appeals regarding that. But yes, we filed a motion requesting that all of the city's attorney fees that have incurred as a result of this appeal, which we believe was frivolous, we're seeking reimbursement.
Appreciate that, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Let's move on to new business, and the first item is item A, the approval of the special event application for the Pentecostal Church of Jesus Christ to hold a second annual community outreach festival on August the 15th.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the request from the Pentecostal Church of Jesus Christ to hold a second annual community outreach festival on Saturday, August 15th from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. with the following conditions. If the organization is preparing food, they must obtain a temporary food license from the Macomb County Health Department.
Second.
Move and support. Any other comments? Go ahead.
Sounds like, do they, so this event's 11 days away. If, for the temporary food license, do they essentially have up until the day of the event to obtain one?
They usually make an application, and the Board of Health comes out that morning to check on their food preparation
Okay,
and setup.
okay, that was all.
But they have to keep a copy of that at the location.
And if we could encourage them to try to get in a little bit sooner, just in case there's any issues, that they'll have a little bit more time than a little over a week to.
We always encourage who we don't know is gonna put in an application to put in an application.
Thank you.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson LaForest?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Gisela?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. Item B is the adoption of a resolution requesting the Michigan Legislature.
Madam Mayor, I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 1798, which requests the Michigan Legislature and Governor to enact House Bills 4725 and 4726 to repeal the Michigan Fireworks Safety Act of 2011 and direct the city clerk to forward this resolution to the Governor of the State of Michigan, our state senator, and representative.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any questions on this? Please call the roll.
I was just going to, I just had a few questions. I was trying to find statistics on injuries from fireworks, because if we're not selling the fireworks in Michigan, folks are going to go elsewhere, buy them, bring them back, and use them anyway. I was just wondering, I saw a lot of comments online about there being more, but I could not find any actual numbers. Mr. Duchesne or Mr. Kaiser, I don't know if anybody, I was just interested in knowing if we had any information on that.
In the macro, Eric, please feel free to chime in. In our macro discussions in the county, certainly there's a value of the anecdotal comments, and not all of it's been quantified even locally, but there has been a report from all of the agencies of significant types of reports and concerns regarding I think what we'd call what would be the excessive days or the additional days and the activities around the fireworks. Every agency reported, concerns at the July meeting regarding the incident numbers of reports, whether they resulted in harm or individuals being harmed. Certainly the press and media reports seem to focus on additional injuries. However, not all of those can be directly related to the excessive firework days or things. I believe that people want to be extremely stupid and blow themselves up will find a day to do it, whether the legislature sets that forth or not. However, I think the concern on everyone's part is that the additional times and days do encourage an activity that otherwise interferes with the normal quiet and enjoyment in each community, noise violations and others that have picked up, not just on the one day, but on the additional days. We don't have, I think, a profile. Eric, you do have some information regarding that you can isolate in the police department, but I don't know if you have that available for you tonight to use.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I can tell you from personal experience that the drain on police resources is excessive. It's not just fireworks calls with the noise ordinance. It's people report them as gunshots, so we have to send officers. That distracts them from their other duties of patrolling the streets and taking other reports. So yes, excessive drain on our department.
And in your opinion, it's been, since 2011, more excessive than before 2011 then?
Significantly more calls for fireworks or gunshots that turn out to be fireworks since this law was passed.
Okay, thank you.
I think the only other statistic I can say for sure is the resulting revenue that was promoted by the initial legislator that was promoting this has certainly not been realized at any level statewide, and certainly not locally for any of this.
Right, what about, so I did look up the numbers on that, and there's an extra 6% safety tax, they call it, on top of the 6% sales tax. And from the numbers I saw, 2014 was about like $26.4 million worth of sales throughout Michigan, which would bring in just over $3 million in tax revenue. And that's about $1 million more than just the year before. Was there any option or consideration of funneling that, at least some of that, to municipalities then to cover these costs, as opposed to just repealing the whole?
Well, I think there was consideration at one point that this would going to be some kind of great revenue stream for us. However, with the limitations on licensing, limitations on doing inspections, and frankly, the whole propaganda that went along with how easy it would be to enforce it and issue additional tickets, make additional arrests, I think that was just really kind of fundamentally pure speculation. I'm not sure how they would fix it, Counselor, to make sure we get more money, except just take anything the state receives and distribute it in sort of a quantitative revenue sharing formula. That would be one way to do it. But again, now we're in this situation where do the extreme exposures, the conflict in community, even outweigh any of the revenue that would be otherwise. But to point of your question, I have not heard of any legislator saying we'll just distribute the revenues more accordingly to actually who has to respond to it.
Yeah, I guess philosophically, I think, just in general, I think folks should be able to.
Can you tell me,
Set
have either of these House bills been introduced, or are they going to be introduced at the beginning of the next session?
They've been introduced, but I looked it up today. There was no fiscal report out yet or anything like that, so.
So they're not even in committee yet, they're just,
Oh, I don't know if it was referred to committee or not.
Okay,
I would imagine it is, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
okay. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Costello?
Oh,
Oh,
did you have another question?
Oh, I was just saying, just in general, I think folks should be able to use fireworks, and more important than the extra resources on the city, I guess I would say, is just my opinion. But that was essentially all. I'd be interested to just see more information about this, but that's my general current opinion. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, please call the roll.
Councilperson Costello?
Yes.
Councilperson LaForest?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
No.
Item C is the designation of voting representative and an alternate voting representative for the Michigan Municipal League annual meeting, which will happen September 16th to the 18th. So I'm attending, and Mr. Duchesne is also attending, and I don't know whether you were planning on going.
I will not be able to make it, most likely.
Anyone else going, planning on going?
I'll gladly make a motion.
I think we know our,
I'll make a motion that Mayor Pixley be our voting member at the MML conference, with an alternate being Mr. Duchesne.
support.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilperson Costello?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson LaForest?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
I guess I paraphrased a little bit here.
And we have a couple of appointments to the commissions. The first one is to the Beautification Commission, is one term to expire December 31st, 2017. This is an appointment by the mayor with approval of the council, and I would like to appoint Cynthia Hernandez to this position. She made application in 2013 for admission, and I did call her. Her application was dated August 7th, 2013. So I checked to see whether she was still living here. She is. She's on Chesterfield, and yes, she is, would like to be a member of the commission. So
Did we, I have not received a copy of that.
You-
Could I
you
take a
rec-
look at it? Yeah, it's
sure,
probably a while
you
ago.
received all of these about 2 months ago when we appointed the
Yeah,
last two.
Could I just take a look at that
Sure.
too? Thank you.
Those are the three that are available.
Did you need to see this?
I'm all set.
Okay.
There's not been another new one since the one in February. All right, so I'd like to make the motion to appoint Cynthia Hernandez to the beautification with a term to expire December 31st, 2017.
Support.
Move support. Please call the roll.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson LaForest?
Yes.
Councilperson Costello?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
The second item is to the Library Commission, one term to expire August the 15th, 2020. This is an appointment by the mayor with a library recommendation and with approval by city council. So the appointment we'd like to make is for Kevin Murphy to the Library Commission with a term to expire August 15th, 2020. Do we have support?
I will support that. It's a,
Any discussion?
and I'll just put, it is a reappointment, and Kevin's been on for a few years now, and he is a welcome addition to that group. He's very active and does a very, very good job representing the city on behalf of the library.
So please call the roll.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilperson Costello?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson LaForest?
Yes.
Item E is the designation by the mayor of the council liaison to the Beautification Commission. And Mr. DeMonico has expressed an interest, and you've been attending all the meetings.
Have been at most of the meetings, probably 6 of the last 8, something like that. And do an adaptive flower bed and like to, it's nice to go to a meeting where every single thing on the agenda is positive. It's not always the case for us here, so I do really, really like that commission, and I enjoy being outdoors also, since for my professional job, I'm indoors all day. So, yeah, I would be glad to be the liaison.
That doesn't take a motion. It's just designation,
Yep, I think
unless
that's
there's
it.
any
The
one.
mayor designates the liaison, so unless there's an alternative suggestion offered to you, then
All right, and item F is appointment by City Council of an alternate to the Southeast Macomb Sanitary District and Disposal Authority. And Mr. Kleinfeld doesn't have a job, and so I would like to highly recommend him to that position because there's some legal issues and so forth coming up, and I think he's well prepared for that position.
support.
So we need a motion for that?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to appoint Councilman Michael Kleinfeld as the alternate to the Southeast Macomb Sanitary District Disposal Authority.
Support.
Move and support, please call a roll.
Councilperson Costello,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilperson LaForest.
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes.
Good luck. First appointment.
Item F, or the next item is payroll and bills. We'll entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $4,539,395.17.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any question on any of the bills? Please call the roll.
Councilperson Costello.
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilperson LaForest.
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. We'll move to the second hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard at this time? Mr. Van Oost?
Don't get young. First thing I have for you tonight is I don't know if it's a gas or water object. It's over by the military museum. It's been like that for quite a while. It's on the corner of Shakespeare and Stevens. It's on Shakespeare. It's right next to the military museum. The stem is bent over. It's painted yellow. They have a 2x4 painted yellow, and that's slanted. I don't know if it's gas or water. I went over and looked. I couldn't see any indication on the cap what it is. Hopefully, it's water, because I didn't smell any gas. I was wondering if somebody could go over there and check and repair that before it makes our city look unsightly, that somebody has not taken care of something like that. My other question is, I guess it could go to Mr. Albright. How long does a dangerous building procedure take? I have a house on my street that has been abandoned for over 5 years. There's signs all over the windows. There's a vehicle parked in the driveway that the gentleman left. He just picked up and walked off from the house. They do cut the grass. They do have somebody cutting the grass. But how long does it take before somebody can look into checking on that house to find out what they're gonna do with it? The address is 22773 Tappert.
I can
My
talk to
other
you, I can talk
question
to you after the
is,
meeting.
I know there's a lot of construction going on in the city, but these two streets, I believe, need to be looked into to get repaired. They're residential. I know we got major issues going on with the city. I'm just a resident. The streets are mocked between Kelly and Beaconsfield, and Saxony between 9 Mile and Summerall. If you go down Saxony off of 9 Mile, you must be going on a roller coaster. That street is like this. If you go down Mott, from Beaconsfield up to Kelly, you gotta dodge potholes. you got the street all jacked up like you wouldn't believe, and I don't know why those streets haven't been taken care of yet. My last question for you is if somebody could check, and I put in a lot of applications for commissions and control officers, and all I would like to ask is if somebody could go in the files and see if they're still there. I'm not begging you to get me on them. I just want to know if my applications are in the files. Thank you for your time. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else wish to be heard at this time? Anyone else? Seeing none, the second hearing of the public is closed. We'll move on to mayor and council reports, and let's start with Mr. DeMonico.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. Music in the Plaza, we have just a couple left, tomorrow and on the 19th of August. They start at 6:30 here, and there's a theme to that last one, back to school, I believe. Mr. Duchesne, I don't know if you had any other comments for that. I think I meant to ask about that during your report, but I know we have some plans for that. Book drive. Anything else I'm missing?
Yeah, it's pretty much a backpack drawing, book drive is part of that, and school supplies will be a part of that. And we are working with, we'll have public safety there also with the East Detroit schools. And our new superintendent intends to be there. And not just listening to the music, but talking to people and students. So we have a number of little activities planned there and hope to encourage people with youth and all people to come to the last one of the season, except for the Navy Band, which will be on the 27th. But that is the last regularly scheduled Music in the Plaza.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that last, the one on the 22nd, the band was real good, rock band. So everyone come on out. Those are a good time just out at City Hall here. And yeah, the electronics recycling that happened, as Mr. Van Oost talked about, I filled up my whole pickup truck, just took that over to Roseville. You should have seen all of the electronics they had out there. It's nice to free up some space in my basement. So if they ever do that again, consider getting rid of that old TV. If you still have that, just sit in the basement or something. And then this Thursday will already be the start of presidential debates. There will be a Republican presidential debate. The whole thing starts at 6. There will be a 6 o'clock and a 9 o'clock. So watch that to see about the potential Republican nominee for president. And as I know, I think all of council maybe was there at this Sizzling Summer Night. Was amazing. I did not make it last year, so this was the first year I made it to the rare event that was at Kennedy, and that was amazing how many people were there. It was awesome to see so many people there having a good time, kids doing the petting zoo or everything, the bounce house type things, all the food trucks. It was a really good time. I hope we do that every year. That was a really great event to see everyone out at. And just one more thing, 2 more things here. Just want to talk about just the crime statistics that our director sent to us. I looked at them a little further, and they look really good. Overall, crime is down a little over 8% from last year, and it looks just really nice here. It's good to see that kind of news in the city. And then this weekend, I'll be going to a wedding up in Sault Ste. Marie. It's a friend that I met through the same organization I met my wife through. It's called Student Association of Michigan. It's a statewide student government association. I was president of it for a bit, and then this gentleman was president after me. Became good friends, and now he is staying up in Sault Ste. Marie with his wife, and he's on the city commission up there. So it's been a funny little friendship. They're commissioners, not councilmen, and so that'll be a good time going up there and hanging out for the weekend. And that'd be all, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. LaForest.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to give a couple of shout-outs to some really incredible people who live in my neighborhood who actually just take the reins by the hand. One is to a gentleman named Joshua King, who has become friends with quite a few of the neighborhood children. And Joshua actually pulled out a trailer and took these kids around our neighborhood to pick up trash. And they actually came back with I want to say it was 8 gallons of trash. Doesn't seem like a lot to us, but to the kids it did. So, I just want to applaud them for their efforts. And as well as this lovely lady, I can't remember what her name is, but she is 83 years old. And I met her over by my garden at Shamrock Park, and I just came from Drew's to pick up some perennials, and I met her over at the garden, and in fact, she had some perennials as well that she was actually planting in my flower bed. So I just want to give her a shout out. But this is an example of our kids and our seniors really stepping up to the plate. I actually told her, because I had a sign there that said the Adopt a Flower Bed was by me with my name, but I'm having a new sign made in honor of her, because I was so delighted that she actually took the initiative to bring these perennials in. So with her perennials and some of mine, it's actually a really nice flower bag. Shout out to Handbags of Hope. They just did a great advertisement. You can see it on Comcast. And Handbags of Hope has done a lot for our communities and residents of our communities who suffer from domestic violence. Unfortunately, I'm sure the mayor remembers, not that long ago, we lost a really good friend, Christina Lanzo Weber. If you have any purses that are just laying around, drop them off to Handbags of Hope on 10 Mile Road. They do some great things with it. I went to the military car show. It was really nice, and piggyback off of Councilman Cardy here, Sizzling Summer was a success as usual. Can't wait for music in the plaza, Swing Shift Band. Today does mark the 225th anniversary of the founding U.S. Coast Guard, so thank you to all those who have served and protected. And Saturday, August 22nd, at Love Life Family Christian Church, they put on a terrific community festival. If you have nothing going on, go check it out. They have bounce houses, face painting, all different types of vendors, and whatnot. And if I'm understanding this correctly, I'm glad to see that we will have, or potentially will have, 2 additional police officers, thanks to SMORSA. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Grisella.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple of library notes. The trivia tournament, it's the 3rd and final one with Sandy Baker hosting, coming up on Monday, August the 10th at 6:30. Winners of the June and July contest are coming back to play in the tournament. It's the Friends who are sponsoring this. So if you get a chance, it's a fun time. You can play along, whether you're pushing the button or not. You can find out just how much you really don't know. Well, that's my case. The library will be closed on Monday through Thursday, August 17th to 20th. So so don't go to the library on those 4 days, the 17th to the 20th. The library will be closed. Over at the Senior Center, they're going to have their grand opening on Friday, September 18th, so it's a little over a month away. So I just want to give a heads up on that. More details as that gets closer. Bargains Hunter Paradise is over at the Senior Center. It's a garage sale flea market type event, and it's on August the 22nd from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the parking lot over at Rare on Sycamore, just the other side of Costco. If you want to get a booth, you can call in $15, get you a parking spot, and you can set up your own table to sell your own goodies. And speaking of shutdowns, the Recreational Authority will be shut down the last week in August and the first week of September. So the last day of it'll be open in August will be Friday the 21st, and then they'll be closed through reopening on Tuesday, September the 8th, right after Labor Day. So there'll be no activities going on during that time. And I agree with my predecessors that the
Sizzling Summer Nights was a wonderful time, huge crowd, a lot of kids, and really, that's what this is all about. The nicest thing, and I think we really want to highlight this, is that most of the activities were free. I mean, if you wanted to, to pay to have your face painted or have Anna or Elsa put on your arm, I think there was like $3 for my granddaughter to have Elsa painted on her arm. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? But she took advantage of everything. I mean, she rode the pony, she pet the animals, everybody liked the llama. That was the favorite, it seemed like, of everybody. The obstacle course and the big slide, and on and on. Anna and Elsa were there to greet the kids and get your pictures taken. They had great entertainment. And in that,
Movie, the park.
the park, but the spaceship.
Oh, really?
That thing was Astroliner motion simulator, and kids loved it, including my granddaughter, because as soon as you got on one end, you went right back and got in line to do it all over again. It was like a 5-minute ride and took you up and down and spun you a little bit, and it was just a blast, and that's what these things are all about. The weather held out, a little rain earlier, but later on, it just cleared right up, and it was just an absolutely gorgeous day for the event. From what the 2-3 hours I was there, it was a well-behaved crowd, and it was a well-attended event, and it's one of the good things that our city has to offer, and I think it's something that we should always be focusing and highlighting, one of the neat things within the city of Eastpointe. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Kleinfeld?
Thank you, council, for the appointment as an alternate to the SMDA. Madam Mayor explains that it's very complicated, so I look forward to learning more about that. And I don't have anything for tonight.
All right. I have a couple of things. As Sizzling Summer Night, last year was a ball, and this year was really good. One of the things that hadn't been mentioned was the fact that they had Park It, the movie, and everybody was sitting down before it even started getting dark with their blankets and food and everything else, and I thought, if I sat down, I was going to fall asleep. I don't think how many times I walked around that place. It was a really good event. The alumni from East Detroit High School will be convening over at Kennedy Park. This is just the classes from the 1940s and 1950s. So these are really seniors, and they come back from Tennessee, Indiana, everywhere. This is a really big event for them. So the alumni from the East Detroit High classes of the 40s and 50s, and we actually had like 30 people that had graduated in the 40s, and then several of them had their letter sweaters and their hat that said East Detroit. And so it's a really big event. I'd like to just mention this, as, of course, it's not going to get out as a thank you to the people that really deserve it, but there was a Boy Scout troop in Shelby Township that was looking for a project for an Eagle Scout badge. And they made some contact with the person that is their secretary treasurer over at the community garden, and they came out and built a shed. And in order to comply with the memorandum of understanding, it had to be a shed that was built that could be moved if it had to. So we went through all the process of getting anchor bolts and all these things, but it's a really cute shed. They built it on the day when the heat index was 105, and there must have been 25 scouts that came from Shelby Township. And I can't say enough about the collaborative idea of someone from another area coming down to assist something. It was a really, really great event. So at some point, I think we need to acknowledge some kind of a certificate or a resolution to say how nice they were. That bargain hunter, people have been asking me when that bargain hunter thing was going. So again, one more time, it's September the 18th. Music in the Plaza, it has been really outstanding this year. Bill Driscoll has done a great job. There have been a lot of people coming out, but Swing Shift is the band that draws the great deal of attention. So that's this week, tomorrow night, actually, at 6:30 to 8 o'clock. And the Navy Band is real excited about being here. They've been planning now for 4 months. So the Navy Band is their 9-piece band that will be playing here. So that's pretty exciting. And that's all I have for tonight, so I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Costello?
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilperson Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilperson LaForest?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.